So the Southern Poverty Lie Center is out making a fool of themselves again. Who would have guessed? Now even viewpoint diversity is white supremacy. Yeah, just wanting a reasonable person's opinion among all these clowns makes you an evil white supreme pizza. All right, do you want a perspective other than stifling woke orthodoxy being imposed on society through classrooms, TV shows, and corporate boardrooms? Tired of seeing alphabet soup and this and BIPOC or appy that? You want a discussion of ideas without constant identity politics? You might be a white supremacist. Yeah, we've already been through that. By the current year definition of white supremacy, Martin Luther King Jr. is one of the most prolific white supremacists to have ever lived. Yeah, fucking Martin Luther King Jr. is a white supremacist by the current year definition. It's essentially a message of the Southern Poverty Lie Center's latest attack on mainstream conservative Christian law firm Alliance Defending Freedom. You see, the ADF had the gall to launch a viewpoint diversity score to broaden the discussion in corporate boardrooms beyond the left's sacred cows. Oh, that's actually smart. The right is finally starting to fight back using the left's own weapons. So the left had all their various diversity scores, and now the right is like, okay, let's take a look at the only diversity that actually matters, and see how these guys score there. The Southern Poverty Lie Center can't stand for that, so it's reaching for the tired old white supremacy card once again. Yeah, when are they going to learn that it just doesn't work anymore? The Southern Poverty Lie Center gained its reputation by suing KKK groups into bankruptcy, but it weaponized that reputation to smear mainstream conservative and Christian nonprofits. Yeah, who could have guessed that they wouldn't have stopped there, huh? This entire organization exists to sue quote unquote Nazis into bankruptcy. So once there's no more Nazis, how are you going to keep the grift going? Well, you got to produce Nazis. You got to manufacture Nazis. So it publishes a map plotting parental rights groups, religious freedom organizations, including ADF, and pro-immigration enforcement groups alongside Klan chapters, suggesting that all sorts of conservative causes are driven by hate. Have you guys ever met anyone that's more hateful than your average far leftist? Because I haven't. Southern Poverty Lie Center's annual report describes all the groups on the map as part of an organizational infrastructure upholding white supremacy in the United States. Of course. Now, what is white supremacy? White supremacy once meant the idea that white people are superior to others and that society should be restructured to give them maximum power. Since the 1950s, this racism has been rightly pushed to the fringes of the American public discourse. Racial minorities have gained equal rights, and Americans have rejected race essentialism. The far left, however, has embraced racism, a Marxist worldview that attributes any racial disparity to racism and uses claims of systemic racism as a pretext to impose more government control. And these idiots won't even realize they're being used until long after it's too late to go back. That's the part that's the funniest about all this. They will learn at some point, but only well after it's too late. Simultaneously, increasingly desperate left groups like the Southern Poverty Lie Center have realized that branding conservatives racist has lost its bite because Americans know it's false. So now they use even more inflammatory term justified by the false premises of racism. Under racism, the Southern Poverty Lie Center can brand any conservative a supporter of white supremacy because it claims that American society is systemically racist. As such, anything short of radical anti-racist restructuring of society amounts to donning a Klan hood. Yeah, way to make the Klan look like the reasonable ones, you fucking idiots. Yeah, this is how bad and crazy the far left are. They're making actual racists look like the reasonable ones by comparison. Now, the viewpoint diversity score. So how does the ADF's viewpoint diversity score uphold white supremacy? Frankly, it doesn't. The claim is absurd on its face. Yeah, so just like people have learned to ignore claims of racism, white supremacy needs to be included in that. Oh, you call me a white supremacist? Who cares? The Viewpoint Diversity Score Business Index measures companies' respect for free speech and religious freedom, following the methods of the Human Rights Campaign's Corporate Equality Index. Human Rights Campaign Index pushes alphabet soup activism in corporate boardrooms and its influence helps explain why Target promotes tuck swimsuits, making males appear female, and why Transformer influencers gave Bud Light the kiss of death. Corporate Equality Index is a key part of the environmental, social, and governance movement, pushing companies to adopt leftist positions on abortion, climate, and gender. And then, as those companies go bankrupt and they have to go begging their original customers for a bailout, they're going to be shocked that they're not going to get one. That I'm looking forward to. The ADF version pressures companies to provide breathing space for dissent from this woke orthodoxy. The Viewpoint Diversity Score Business Index urges companies to meaningfully respect customers, employees, shareholders, and other external stakeholders who hold diverse religious and ideological beliefs and foster viewpoint diversity in their workplaces. Well, I'm willing to compromise here. If you're telling me that viewpoint diversity is white supremacy and you don't want viewpoint diversity, okay. I say we kick all far leftists out. Let's go. Well, we'll see how quickly they change their tune once we start doing that. The ADF index isn't trying to bully corporations to adopt its positions on political issues. Instead, it's urging them to return to neutral, recognize that not all Americans want to wear rainbow flag pins and shout their abortions. I don't think we need to push this on them, to be honest. Like this is a self-correcting problem. No, like we saw with Bud Light and Target. If they want to double down on this, let them. They're just going to go bankrupt and we can replace them. So businesses should be about treating customers, employees, and shareholders well, regardless of what they believe. Hey, if they disagree, let's start treating far leftists the same way they treat us. We're going to win in the end. They need us. We don't need them. So let's go. Let's give them what they want. It's all about power. Thank you. You know it. The Southern Poverty Lie Center takes umbrage with this because it prefers the woke takeover of corporations. Scratch the surface of any woke complaint about racism, you often find an obsession with power underneath. The Viewpoint Diversity Score is calling out the left's tactics to dominate corporate boardrooms, and the SPLC can't stomach it. Let the entire legacy system die. That's what I say. So the SPLC's Southern Party Lie Center's R.G. Cravens claims that ADF public relations and legal crusades are intertwined with Christian supremacist and white supremacist ideologies. I think it's time to sue this fucker for defamation. So let's use the Southern Poverty Lie Center's own tactics against it. Let's sue it into bankruptcy. So according to Cravens, ADF's efforts responding to DEI appear to resonate with white supremacist rhetoric that characterizes the DEI policy as a form of anti-white racism, because it literally fucking is. And a threat to white people brought about by woke ideology. Yeah, I just can't stand how people call it reverse racism. There's no such thing as reverse racism. It's just regular old racism. Yet anyone remotely familiar with criticism of DI knows that Asian Americans, not whites, often find themselves most disfavored by equity, practices that prioritize meeting racial quotas. Yeah. Now, Asians are Schrodinger's minority. They can either count as white or minority depending on the needs of the far left at the time. Asian Americans cheer the Supreme Court overturning of racial preferences in college admissions, not because they're secretly white supremacists, but because they value merit over racial equality. Nowhere did Cravens provide a quote directly from the ADF to demonstrate this viewpoint diversity score has anything to do with helping white people, because it doesn't. The Southern Poverty Lie Center just doesn't have anything else to say. Yeah, that's the only tactic they have. All they have is defamation, like falsely labeling people istophobes. Like that's all they can do. Once people stop giving a fuck, they lose all their power. Imagine a world where someone calls someone else racist and they just laugh and say, yeah, sure, whatever, and just get on with their life. Like, that's what we need to push for.